very concerned that some of our students might be feeling excluded or might be excluded in practical ways from learning. And we felt that, while there was a certain amount of information available in the literature, we really needed to hear the voice of our own students, to hear what the difficulties might be in their particular context, which might not be the same as in the general literature. So a key focus of the project was very much to engage with the students, hear their voice, and identify the barriers that they were facing.
As part of the research, we have conducted focus groups, interviews, and surveys with different cohorts of students. So the surveys were with the entire population of students, but the focus groups and interviews were with the selected marginalized student groups.
We were expecting to find out about issues that students might be facing in terms of things like racism and so on, and we did. But we never really expected to find out so many structural issues as we did find. So for example, the whole issue of childcare turned out to be a much bigger deal than we had actually expected, and it was a huge barrier for students with caring responsibilities.
As a mother of 4 children, I found that childcare was an issue for myself, and therefore that's the reason why I'm taking a part-time degree. But speaking to other traveller people, and especially the young woman who has children, and recently enough when speaking to a couple of the younger women, they said that one of the barriers for them, the main barrier for them, would be childcare in relation to attending third level education.
So for us, capacity building was a hugely important element, because if staff are aware of how to be inclusive, it will have that knock-on impact for all students. So one of the first things we did was we purchased Ally for LMS. Now this is a software tool that allows for accessibility, of online documents. So it allows staff in the first instance to amend their documents to make them accessible. But the best part is it also allows students to download material in alternative formats, and we've had thousands and thousands of downloads. But also, while the downloads are fantastic by students, the other part that's really exciting is that staff are now correcting their materials, and the materials they're putting up are automatically more accessible. This was incredibly important during COVID, and there was a huge benefit from that. A second element that we undertook was we rolled out the digital badge for universal design and learning. We ran 2 sessions in semester 1 and semester 2. We had a large sign up, and we were beginning to see the benefits of that as well. But we also had sessions on how to make your classroom inclusive more generally, as well as racism in higher education. And all of these are really important issues that we're addressing for our student body and for staff going forward. All the learnings we've taken from this project, all the, tools and tips and tricks that we've developed over the last year are available now to staff on an ongoing basis, which we hope will leave an ongoing impact. And the project culminated in the capacity building side with the online symposium. Over 500 people registered for the symposium. It started with the most important, we centred the student voice, we heard from students, we heard about their experiences, and we also heard about good practices. And those good practices, if every staff member, if every person who teaches in NUI Galway or in any institution takes on one of those inclusive tips, and if we all do that, the cumulative effect for students and for the whole of education is hugely beneficial, and that's really what we aim to get from the project.
Right from the beginning, this project has centred the student voice, from student partnership within the actual project team, right down to students involved in all the workshops and the symposium that we did. The student voice has always been central to everything that we try to achieve with inclusive learning through this project and at NUI Galway, and giving students, a space to have their voice heard and to talk about the issues that are facing them from their perspectives. So sometimes when we go to make changes or make our teaching more inclusive or accessible, it seems like this really onerous task that we have to make such big changes to the way that we teach. But in actuality, students like myself and others have created tips that are really small and practical, like including pronouns in your email signature, including an inclusivity statement at the beginning of your lecture series, making sure that your documents are screen reader friendly. Some really small ways of, changing the habits and the culture that we have around how we design and create teaching for students. So hopefully through this project, we'll be able to empower lots more academics to, make those small changes and create that new culture of inclusivity and accessibility, but in a way that feels accessible to them as well.
Really, we have to engage with the university and the schools and the colleges to try and address the kind of structural issues that we have identified. So we're very much trying to do that at the moment, talking to university leaders and policy actors and different departments and so on.
And once we'd established that base for, what was the baseline for inclusion in NUI Galway, we hope to have a system in place to monitor how that inclusion develops over the coming years.
This is I hope will be the lasting legacy of this project, that we can really build inclusion at NUI Galway. It's so important for our staff, it's so important for our students, it makes everything better for everyone, and I just think it will be a really fantastic outcome.